Good morning and welcome to my garden. It's halfway through the month of May. It's the last month of autumn and we've got lovely mild temperatures with tops around 23, 24, 25 and lows around 15 to 17. It's really pleasant temperature. We've got lots of birds in the garden right now. Can you see the double-barred finch on the trellis there? And behind them, some Lewin's honey eaters enjoying the papayas. Such a pleasure to have wildlife in my garden. It's really good to know that it's a pleasant place for them and that they're not terribly scared of me. They're willing to be here when I'm out here. This is my wedge garden on the east. I've finally got some tomatoes growing in my garden and there looks like some really good trusses of tomatoes forming there. My rosellas have been very prolific and I have bottled many bottles of rosella jam and I've got some bags of rosellas in the freezer too, waiting for next time I get a chance. Actually, you can see that this side wasn't harvested last time I harvested. I filled my big bowl and 2 4-litre ice cream containers, and that was all I could carry at the time. This side I did harvest, and the rosellas are still growing and still developing. And you can see the different life stages. We have a flower that's just opening here. After they've opened, the flower dies off and the little rosella starts to form. And then they get bigger. And then you harvest them about that size. So I only have 1, 2, 3, 4 plants here, and that's more than I need, so that's been very good. Got chilies happening. Those plants look like they're dying back for the winter. My capsicums have started to produce. It's interesting, they got the same chlorosis happening that the previous plants did. I'm going to have to look that up and figure out what that deficiency is. My yacon is flowering. I'm looking forward to being able to eat some yacon. It's very delicious. Those Lewin honey eaters have really been enjoying the papayas. You see they've knocked that one off as they've eaten enough of it that it doesn't stay on the tree anymore. I'm trying to keep up with them. I have a system of give, save, live where I give them to friends. I dehydrate some and I would eat a whole papaya every day myself, plus what my son and daughter eat. But they're producing faster than I can eat them, which is very pleasing. Got another pineapple coming. I've been harvesting some basil. Lots of chilies forming. My chop and drop row is growing again. It's as tall as me again. So ideally I'd be chopping these down sometime soon. I don't want too many seeds to form, so once they flower, I've decided that's an indication that it's time for me to harvest them. I transplanted a nectarine to this position where the apricot had died. It's got lots of new growth around the stems. Actually, I should be able to reduce some of it just like that. Contour 2. I pruned back all the asparagus when I last cleaned up this bed and I thought it was end of season, it was all going to die off. Well, that doesn't appear to be what happened. It's all come back. Asparagus does die off in the winter, but obviously this is not ready to do that yet. When I cleaned up this bed last, I pruned down the bananas for chop and drop and dropped them along the back row. I also transplanted some. So I have 1 here, 2, and you can see a sprout there from the 3rd one that I transplanted. So that's going to be lovely. My strawberry plants are still looking happy. Oh, there's even a strawberry for me. I'll have that. This particular banana is not a dwarf variety, and it looks like it's going to grow in a position that's going to cause problem for my grape trellis. So I'm going to have to make sure I dig that one out. So my grapes. Looks like it's covered from grass clippings from the mower throwing. But that one looks like it's come back. Here we go. There's some arrowroot in this row. I must have left a root on it because it's sprouting back again. No root. It's just not dying. That's interesting. Now, I thought I had a second grapevine here. Yes, I did, and it got smothered by something. That one's dead. Okay. Here we go. There's one here. So the end one and this one are still alive. That one was definitely dead. This one's alive. Boy, it's looking sad. That's 3. Number 4 should have been here. It's dead. It's real dead. Okay, and this one on the end. So that's 4. So I'll wait until they get a bit bigger before I start planting any more. I heard that roses are a great companion plant for grapes. They tend to get the same kind of diseases that grapes do, but they get them sooner than grapes. So if you see your rose being affected by something, you know it's time to treat the grapes before the grapes catch it. So these are both rose plants I've grown from cuttings. My chop and drop rose got some nice height on it. I actually chopped the arrowroot recently because it was all starting to fall over. My mangoes have new growth. I've planted some arrowroot between the mangoes to form a chop and drop row down the centre between the mangoes. So it's a bit different to what I do in the vegetable garden. I'm trying to keep this as a single narrow garden bed so that hubby can mow around it without having to worry about dodging between the plants. So that arrowroot will probably be laid down beside itself, and so it'll be growing there. This custard apple I grew from seed, and now that it's about knee-high, I thought it was time to plant it out. And some arrowroot here all grew. Yes, I planted 1, 2, 3 plants between each, and it looks like they're growing each of those. Yes, no, maybe. I've also extended my hedgerow. So it's almost 30 metres long now, with citrus, feijoa, mulberry and apple all the way down. I ran out of seedlings for apple and mulberry, so down towards the end it's only got citrus and feijoa planted down there. So we will be adding to that in time. We are in planning for a family holiday away for 5 weeks. It's the first time we've ever been on a family holiday like this, so it's very exciting. But it's a bit of a challenge for my brain trying to figure out what to do with the garden in preparation for going away. So one of the things I'm not doing is planting cuttings now, because they will need a little bit more care than I'm able to give them while I'm away. I'm doing my best to plant out as many plants into the ground as I can. When I get back, that'll be when I start trying to strike seeds again, so striking some more grapes to fill the gaps. My archway and the walkway underneath it has been a very pleasant place to come through. The zinnias are done now. Most of them are dying off. I'm going to save them to harvest seed. So we ended up with 3 different orange. So we've got a very fluffy, I don't know the technical terms. We have an orange with lots of petals. We have an orange with just the one round of petals. And then we have a dark orange. Now this one's got a lot of petals on it too. We've also got the dark orange in the single petal. Then we've had the darker purple. And these are doing funky things. It's got petals up on the top of the flower, whereas this one only has petals around the skirt, for want of a better term. And then we've got the pink colour. So I'll be saving all these seeds for next season. We've made some progress on the pond. The jaboticaba has finally been moved to its new home over on the other side of the driveway. What's next for the pond is to be dug out down to this level for all of this area around here. If I'd have thought the plan through a bit better, I would have got the earthworks guy to do it when he was originally here. But that's on my jobs list. It'll be lovely to have that project moving on again. Contour one in the middle. My lime has come back with new leaves after being pruned a little bit. I'm using these shallots for cut and come again. My lemon has been producing a few fruit for us. I've planted zucchini here, and it looks like, as per usual, the zucchini is suffering from mould and mildew, powdery mildew, but it looks like it's starting to produce fruit. And it looks like the fruit fly have come for it again. So this week I'll be renewing my fruit fly bait so that we actually get some fruit. The plan with this trellis is to encourage a plant to lean up and fall onto the trellis. I'll use a very soft cloth, like a bandage, to lift it up and hold it against the trellis. This lime tree has had a lot of fruit on it, and we've been enjoying eating that. I've got carrots growing, and I've been picking some. They're not all growing at the same speed. Wedge garden on the north. My gerbera is nearly done. End of season. I might leave that flower there and gather seeds. I had beans on the northern side of this trellis, and I planted them before I planted the tomatoes. And so I was waiting for the tomatoes to grow and hold the trellis down on this side. I should have actually staked the trellis because it's fallen over a couple of times with the wind, but it's upright now and the tomato is starting to grow. So the tomato is going to help anchor it, and the beans are starting to die off, which means you won't have all the weight on that side for the wind to blow over. Carrots and beetroot planted in here. Again, I'm reminded that I really should be covering my vegetables, because if I don't, they begin to provide lots of grubs for the chooks. Contour one on the north. Pigeon pea is taller than I can reach now. It's definitely time to prune that off. I had let it go to flower and seed because I want to harvest the seeds. I'm going to plant another hedgerow down the back. This one's going to be only pigeon pea. Now, while allowing pigeon pea to grow in the garden creates the responsibility of keeping it under control so I don't have it self-seeding through the vegetable patch and everywhere else, growing it down the back is less of a problem because we'll be mowing either side of it. And so any seedlings that come up will just be mowed off. So that won't be such an effort to keep them down the back. My native sennas are flowering, and I've been saving the seed to share with land care. I love the lushness of walking through here. I often find myself coming down to the garden, just walking through and allowing the plants to touch me. It's just beautiful to be reminded of how close to nature we can actually get. Lemongrass is huge. A lot of my carrots here are going to seed. They are not very big. I've become convinced that the nutrition in the soil is not as good as it should be, and so I'm going to have to start fertilising as of next season. This crop's nearly done, so I won't fertilise it. Another pineapple coming, that's exciting. That'll be ready for us when we get home from our trip away. This carrot went to seed, so it's time to plant these seeds. It's time to scatter it because we've had a lot of light rain recently. So scattering those seeds now, they'll be all watered in. This end of the bed hasn't had anything more planted. This will definitely be a bed to be tidied up after we get home from our trip. Contour 2 on the north. The chop and drop row on this side has finally got some height about it, but they're all a lot slower growing than I'd like them to be. So I'm going to have to plant some other plants in here that will grow faster. I also want to tidy up this curve so it actually curves in line with the other curves in the garden. So I've been delaying putting more plants in here until I have the time to measure it up properly and to finish with that. Some more yacon. This one has also started flowering. Look at this for a beautiful row to walk down. Got pigeon pea here that needs harvesting. A lot of these seeds are definitely viable for planting now. So my potato bed, long awaited. I've also planted some onions here, so brown onions and red onions. I planted out a punnet of those. My avocados are doing well. I've been picking a lot of papayas. Yes, they're heavily affected by the mold that papayas typically get, but I'm still finding enough of them that are very edible. And if you cut the skin off, it's all right. It's interesting that these bushes that are very poorly affected by the mold aren't necessarily affecting the ones beside them. This is giant Russian garlic. It's just coming up now, so that's exciting to watch them coming up. Another batch of potatoes here. This is the first one to come up. Oh, there's another one. So I believe these were Desiree and Sebago. This garlic was from the vegetable store. I had the cloves sitting in a sandbox and they sprouted from the roots, and then I separated them. Whereas that garlic, the giant Russian garlic, I bought it from markets and just separated and put it straight in the ground. Some of my potatoes are doing really well. I've got a lot of different varieties planted along here, so I'm not even going to try and guess what they are at this stage. Oh, I sprinkled some carrot seed and looks like some of them came up. Here's another carrot plant that I left here to go to seed. I think it's a purple carrot and it's doing really well. The seed's starting to come on. It does not appear to have suffered from the layers of horse manure and mushroom compost and worm castings and the silage on top. It still appears to be doing really well. Some more garlic here is coming up. That's looking good and strong. These potatoes may need to be harvested before we go away in 3 weeks. Yeah, that's a beautiful row to go down. My blueberries, change of season. We've got some flowers coming, but not so many. This one finished flowering first, finished fruiting first, and I pruned it back and it's coming back with the most regrowth. I planted some cover crop around the shed to cover the mud. I think the mud's covered. I think the rest of us will be smothered soon too. So I'm going to have to prune that back so that we can mow in there and make that a nice place to walk around. Contour 3 on the north. This garden has had very little attention. The cover crop has grown up into the poinciana and it's covering the tulip wood here too. Hopefully that'll survive until I can get around to chopping it down. I will need to prune this poinciana back. It's putting quite a lot of shade on the potato bed, and potatoes need their full sun if they're going to grow and produce well. So I'll take the poinciana back to about head height and I'll allow it to resprout then. Be ashamed to chop down all this beautiful lushness, but that's part of why I grow them. Their purpose is chop and drop. So the sweet potato died off at the end of summer, but now it's come back again. As we've gone through autumn, it's really coming back strongly. 3 different varieties here. There's that leaf. That one's a very white one with a white flesh or creamy coloured flesh. Now this one's also a white one with a bit of purple inside. And this one's a purple skin with white flesh. And we have bugs. But that's okay. We have a lot of butcher birds and magpies that frequent the garden and eat them. And I can take this one to the chooks. I planted some greens along here. I pocket planted them, and then I've been using the dripper to water them, and I'm thrilled to say they've all survived except maybe that one. Well, that's interesting because that plant's completely disappeared. Parsnip growing, broad beans starting to fruit. I should have supported them with a trellis. They're not growing very prolific, very tall. Some of them are struggling to thrive. I think this soil is just not as fertile as I thought it was. Well, we'll have to fix that next season. And all of these are growing well. I'm pleased with how the garden is surviving. I'm pleased with how it's thriving without my attention all the time. It's been a busy few months, and I just haven't been in the garden as much as I'd like to. Getting a few more aches and pains that are restricting how much time I can spend in the garden when I come out here. So it's nice to have a nice place to come out and to walk through and to enjoy, even when I'm not really capable of doing much work. I'm grateful for the pleasure that gardening gives me, and I'm thankful to be able to share it with you.